Well, what is it about abandoned buildings that draw us to them? Is it the stories they tell, the secrets they hide, the beauty in their decay? Beginning this month, HVNN.com will be partnering with the founders of Abandoned Hudson Valley, where we take you on a tour of these long-forgotten structures, and we begin our series at Camp LaGuardia in Orange County. Peering into the past at the one-time Gray Court Women's Prison, built in the early part of the 20th century, inspires the imagination. One can almost feel the ghosts of its long-ago inhabitants, murmuring, stepping ahead, and silently guiding you to forgotten corners. The austere and interconnected structure set on 256 acres that straddle the towns of Chester and Blooming Grove most recently served as Camp LaGuardia, a 1,000-bed shelter for New York City's homeless men. The complex was shuttered in July of 2007 and has been vacant ever since. Still, clues about what life was like at the derelict structure are everywhere, and with a little reflection can still be felt. On a recent afternoon, HVNN.com followed Liz Cook and Andy Milford, the founders of Abandoned Hudson Valley, as they explored the structure. The pair routinely discovers and photographs the Hudson Valley's forlorn buildings, capturing them in a powerfully evocative way.
For certain people, myself included, there's something very aesthetically pleasing and very visually compelling about coming to a place like this. The peeling paint, the glass on the floor. I mean, it's, been very, it's forlorn, and it sort of speaks to a side of life that most people don't consider. We live in a culture where everything has to be sparkling and brand new and grand, and a place like this reminds you and sort of roots you in the past.
Pairing up with Abandoned Hudson Valley, HVNN.com will explore these solitary sites that in many cases have been long forgotten. For Camp LaGuardia, hope is not lost. Orange County has recently resumed ownership of it and has begun cleaning up the property in the hopes of marketing it for commercial use. But that's not always the case for abandoned properties. As Cook and Milford have learned in their journeys, many of the deserted structures not only are hidden from public view, but given up completely. It's their melancholy state that gives them a peculiar beauty, a chilling and tragic sense of presence where life once teemed.
I appreciate spotting signs of where people have been. You might see, it might be someone's name on the door, or a book, or a nameplate, some sign of maybe even something comical like someone's dentures in a cup, obviously dried out, or it has been there for years, and you can't help but think, who's the last person, who walked this? Where did we just come from a dining hall? Who walked to this door? Who's the last person to use that?
When I come to a site like this, I try. I've got to say, I try to collect myself, and I try to connect with the lives that were lived in a place like this and the stories that a place like this tells. It doesn't always happen. Sometimes we move fast. Sometimes the place itself is not that welcoming. But a place like this, there's enough evidence of the lives that were lived here. There's kitchen equipment that you can still see. You can see, again, that the windows were designed to be light and airy and created sort of a sense of a ground space. But most of the stories are sad.
The founders of Abandoned Hudson Valley typically don't reveal the exact locations of the deserted structures they run into, out of respect and to keep the masses and vandals away. Cook and Milford, in a sense, urban explorers who aim to document these properties in a responsible and ethical way, have come to recognize that others, like themselves, are drawn to these haunting scenes ravaged by time, death, and decay.
You realize how temporal everything is. Everywhere you go shopping today will one day be either redeveloped or, if left, falling down. So it shows us where we're going or where we're coming from, and maybe it's just a close loop of life. It's just nothing changes if it all stays the same.
For me, it is always bittersweet when a place sort of loses this and becomes, sort of a modern space. But there's always something else. The search continues. There's always more.